Thank you very much. I'm going to wipe this off. I'm going to leave my mask on because I'm going to introduce our next speaker. And we're coming down to the last few speakers, thanks to all of you who've stuck with us. We got some door prizes. We're going to do our sing-along, so there's still a few more things going on, so please don't leave us yet. So I'm very pleased to introduce Maria Riemann. Maria is the Executive Director of WomenNC. It's a statewide organization that seeks to eliminate gender inequality with its signature leadership training program. It works with undergraduate scholars from across the state to examine instances of gender disparities in local communities and develop low-cost public policy solutions to improve the status quo. Maria?
Thanks a lot. I've heard a lot of inspiring words. I don't have any, so I've cribbed. If President Lincoln began one of his most famous addresses with 77 years ago, I would begin this short address with 2 centuries, 75 years ago. Our fathers and mothers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all people are created equal. So as many of you know, and in so many ways, this is still an aspirational sentiment and not a reality. And those of us attuned to the current cultural divide can attest, as Lincoln continued, we are now engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. Think about that for a moment in these fraught times. Lincoln continues, we are met on the great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that this nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate it, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men and women, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. It seems to me here that, among other things, Lincoln channels the heroes of so many of the 20th and 21st century movements for equality that have been fought, and people have died, including not only those involved in the search for gender equality, but also the protagonists of the Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movements. Lincoln continues, the world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what we did here. And that's why we're here today, to urge the North Carolina General Assembly to do something so that we, the people of North Carolina, will not be forgotten, but rather that we will be remembered as aids and parties to achieving the equality for which our foremothers and forefathers so long toiled. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. And indeed, it is unfinished. The ERA is still not law of the land. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from those honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion. And isn't that what this rally is about? For us as citizens to rededicate ourselves to the task of ensuring equality under the law, passing the Equal Rights Amendment in North Carolina, and then ensuring it becomes enshrined in our federal Constitution. Finally, Lincoln concludes, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth and of freedom and liberty for all, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. Do you feel it? These great words uttered at a time of utter turmoil and deep sadness can speak to us today in our time of desolation on so many fronts as we've heard about. And we will continue with the task that this imperfect man, Lincoln, and we, imperfect citizens, began more than 2 centuries ago, the work of ensuring equality for all under the law.
Okay, sing along with me. What